Nscaler 454 here, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to review the Rapido Trains N-Scale GP20 tank car. These ones decorated in modern PROCOR large and small lettering. So we'll pop these open and take a closer look at them. And the first thing you'll notice is this is not black. This is like a darker gray, I guess, with a black stripe there and there. I'm not really sure why these are modeled in a grayish color, because all the PROCOR tank cars I have around here, at least locally and the ones I've seen online, are all black. So I'm not sure what's up with that. We'll take out this one as well. While the color of the tank cars are not quite what I expected, I have to say the detail is outstanding. You can see the detail in the walkways up in here. Same thing back here, like that mesh is fine and perforated and just looks really, really good. The handrails up in here and the piping down here, it is plastic, but very, very fine and small tubing or whatever you want to call it. So it is to scale, which is great. The ladder, again, not too big, so that feels like it's pretty good to scale. You can see the detail, on the front and on the back, which is just outstanding. Look at that. All right, now keep in mind, this is N-scale, which also makes you appreciate the lettering of it. Look at all the numbers and stuff. Like, the font is that small and looks that good. That is incredible. So really happy about that. You can see there are some details on the bottom as well, which looks good and pretty realistic to the real car. Detail of the trucks, again, looks very good. You can see, the spring detail and whatnot, and the bolts and all that. So very, very good. The wheels are metal, but as you can see, they are shiny, so I imagine some weathering would go a long way on these. The couplers, I guess, are your standard, N-scale coupler for one of the higher end cars, so that looks good. I will show you that the coupler is separate from the actual truck, and you can see its turning radius. It does seem a little limited. Not sure that's good or bad. Also, there are some, brake shoes kind of thing right there. Not really sure why those are modeled in, because you can't see them. And I feel like those potentially are contacting the wheels, which I don't think is very good. But as for the detail of these, I have to give them, a solid A, because they do look good. Another thing I noticed right away was the tank cars feel incredibly heavy. But when you throw in your typical box car, which weighs about 31 grams, or your typical hopper, which weighs about 31 grams, the tank car weighs 33 grams. So it's a couple of grams heavier, but it's not massively heavier, because when you put it in your hand, it feels significantly different, but it is only a couple grams heavier. So now that we looked at these up close, let's go throw them on some track and see how they perform on the layout. So the first thing we're going to test is the roll resistance, and we're going to compare it to this Intermountain hopper. We'll give it a little bump. And as you can see, that one rolls very, very nicely. We'll bring in the small letter tanker, and already this doesn't look good. Ooh. That is awful. So that one rolls terribly. Now the large letter tanker, better, but still not as good as the hopper. So I have to say I'm pretty unimpressed by that. So we'll test another one, again small letter. It's like there's brakes on it. And we'll test a large letter one. And that one is definitely the best one so far. But 1 out of 4, not a good percentage. For a pull test, we are climbing this 2% grade through a 16.5-inch radius curve. And we are using our Atlas GP40 Gold Series locomotive. And so far, we are able to pull 4 cars just fine, which is to be expected since 4 cars is really nothing. So I kept adding cars to the train. We are currently at 9, and this is going to be one too many. You see it's already struggling. This is power 7 on our Digitrax, and yeah, it's not liking it. And she is done. So 9 cars is one too many. 8 is all she will pull, which honestly to me is not that good. I will say pulling a whole train of tankers really looks awesome. So just as a comparison, we put together a 10-car train, and as you can see, this thing is pulling it up with ease. I'm sure I could add several more cars to it before it even considers stalling out. So it kind of shows you there is quite a difference between a typical smooth running car and the Rapido tankers. Another issue I discovered is there's some inconsistencies with the hose that hangs off the coupler down here. As you can see, this one clears my crossing without problems, whereas this one, it hits it. So it hangs a little bit lower. And I have not had a problem with any other car until now. In speaking with the shop that I got these from, we feel that these little brake details or whatever they are might be contacting the wheels, creating some drag. Now you could go in and slice off each one of those tabs, and that probably will fix the problem. But say you have 2 packs, so 12 of these cars, that's 96 of those that you have to cut off. And considering the price of them, I don't feel like that's something that the customer should have been required to do. So it makes you wonder, where is the quality control at Rapido to not recognize that there is a problem with these cars? So where do we stand on these? Well, if we're going to give them a ranking, for detail, I would say 8, 8.5. The details, the railings, the lettering is all very, very good. For quality control or the differences between each car, I'd say maybe a 7, because there are some variances. For example, the hoses are not all the same. There's the railings and different details that might be bent on some and not the others. So there's some differences. But 7, very, very satisfactory. I would say it's nothing to be too upset by. The performance, probably a 4 or 5, because let's be honest, they don't roll very good. There's a lot of drag. In my case, they just didn't perform all that well. The hoses being different, that might not be a big deal in most layouts or all layouts or whatever, but in mine it is. I'm finding there is an issue that's going to have to be addressed. And yeah, what can you say? They are a little bit heavy, and in my experience at least, the performance just wasn't very good. As for the color, well, I guess it's subjective, so I can't give it a ranking exactly. All I know is that it is much brighter than I would expect. I was expecting black, I guess, or I wanted black, so the color is not great for me. And more importantly, is it realistic? I don't know, because I've never seen one like this in real life. So maybe it is okay. I mean, maybe the color is perfect for some. There are different paint schemes and whatever. Say the Alberta scheme or the CP rail, whatever. And maybe this is just fine for you. So it's completely subjective. I just know for me, it's a little bit of a letdown because they showed up different than I expected. So overall, I would say a 6 out of 10 because performance is such a high percentage of the value of these cars or your trains. they just don't perform as good as they look. And considering the cost and the fact that we waited so long for them to arrive, I have to say I'm a bit disappointed. And, you know, maybe Rapido will do something about it. That's yet to be seen. But, you know, it's just kind of how it is. And if it's enough for you, I don't want to discourage anybody from buying them. That's just my experience. Take it as you will. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and thanks for watching.